Hey there, what is up guys? We are back with another The Manga Crack 2016 video. Now, so you've seen my recent manga unboxing videos, and some of you have been asking me like, oh, how is the library? How are you keeping these books? You want tips on how you store your manga? Well, here I'm going to show you my full library collection. Now, this is a 10 plus volume collection. Still ongoing, still collecting more books, it's more manga. So let me just go ahead and show you the shelf. So this is it, the manga shelf here. Now, in just a moment, I'm going to go over the volumes I have individually and the series I have, but let me just start off. So this is where I keep my hardcovers. This shelf is for my completed series. This is ongoing series, and this is just some stuff I like. So let's actually start up here with the completed series. So this is volumes 1 through 7 of Super Yo-Yo, Chosuko no Supana. So this is not, unfortunately it is not translated in English here. There was a translation in Singapore, however, this is incredibly out of print. This is from like the late 90s, so it's hard to find a copy of that. So what I've done is I've ordered these, and I can actually read Japanese. So it's not like hard Japanese. As you can see here, it actually says that they're elementary school books, so it's not like difficult Japanese. Now, let me take out some of these. This is a spoiler-free video, but I'm just going to give you an idea of what some of these stories are about. So this is actually about a boy named Shunichi, who he's good at every sport, like all sports. And then one day his friends challenge him to try yo-yoing because there's this one bully, Benkei, who is going around and taking everybody's yo-yos. So he's like, yeah, I guess I'll get good at yo-yoing. He gets at it. He's like, he doesn't think it's really this deep thing, this deep sport like baseball and this other stuff he's been really good at. He's like, it'll take no time at all. It's what? It's yo-yoing? So he goes, he beats Benkei. And then right after he does that, somebody else comes and challenges him. Oh, shit. So somebody comes and challenges him, and he realizes that yo-yoing is like way deeper than he had ever thought. So all of a sudden now he wants to get good at it. He enters this tournament specifically to challenge this one person, and that's basically the arc of the first few books. Now I have not read all of the series, so I believe 5 through 7 take a different path than the anime. You might have seen the anime, which was also dubbed in English in Singapore. But I've not seen that, or I haven't read past that. The anime only goes up through the first arc, the tournament arc. But there's some pretty crazy stuff that happens later. I don't want to spoil anything, but I've skimmed ahead, and it looks pretty great. So I definitely recommend picking up this series if you can. You can always find a few copies on eBay. That's where I got mine. I believe there's still a few available, but it is out of print. So if you want this series, you really want to go ahead and get it. Yeah, so now moving down to my ongoing series shelf. This should be moved over a little bit. So first here we got JoJo's Bizarre Adventure by Hirohiko Araki. Araki, JoJo's is quite a bit of a story if you haven't heard of it. So it sort of started out as like a Fist of the North Star clone. As you can see, I've got JoJo's like 1 through 3 here. I don't have all the parts, obviously. There's 8 parts. Only the first 5 have been translated into English, but I haven't gotten around to getting like 4 or 5 and all that. But anyways, as I was saying, so it kind of seemed like a Fist of the North Star clone, but it really got into its own by like part 3. And became its own thing, and nowadays it's known mostly for memes and stuff. But I feel like a lot of people don't ever actually read or pick up JoJo's and know what it's like. So I'll give you an idea of what some of the different parts are like. So this is part 1. So in part 1, it's about Jonathan Joestar, who is son of So Jonathan Joestar, it sort of starts when like his dad is gotten into this accident, and this sort of highway robber accidentally sort of saves him, or like his dad thinks he saved him, and now he's like, okay, you're a friend of this family. I'm gonna give you all this privilege and stuff, or if you never need a favor, I'll give it to you. And that favor becomes taking care of this robber's son, Dio Brando. But why did I say it like that? Dio Brando. Guys, I'm just so quirky. So it becomes him taking care of Dio Brando. And Dio is revealed to sort of be... I'm not going to spoil it, but Dio's the main villain, so he's sort of revealed to be this not-so-good guy. He starts poisoning Jonathan's dad, and that's not good, and Jonathan gets in fights with him, but his dad misunderstands and thinks Jonathan's the problem. And anyways, Dio's a vampire, and it gets crazy from there. Bizarre, you might say. But yeah. So anyways, again, I don't want to spoil what happens in the last one, but part 2 takes up after Jonathan has... anyways, so it's sort of not his son, but his grandson now, Joseph Joestar. And Joseph... Okay, so in the last one, Jonathan... was given this like sort of power system, or told about this power system by a Zeppeli. And in part 2, Joseph already just sort of knows this power system. It's called Hamen, and it's like a breathing technique. And Joseph just sort of instinctively has this, and I think his father didn't have it. But in part 2, it doesn't actually really focus on Dio and the vampires this time, but it's actually this separate race of people called the Pillarmen. There's actually some parallels to the sort of like rock humans, which show up in part 8 later on, but that's way down the line and in a different universe. But yeah, so he's fighting these Pillarmen, and he's got to train his Hamen to be able to fight them. And there's ultimate cars, and it's pretty cool. Now, part 3 is very, very different from the other two. So part 3 introduces stands. And what stands are is, it's kind of like a superpower, kind of like a quirk in My Hero Academia, but instead of being something manifest from your own body, it's kind of like... Oh, it's really hard to explain it. The best way I can explain it is it's kind of like a superpowered spirit animal, right? So you have this psychic... You sort of... Like, your psyche itself can form a power, and it's like this separate entity, sort of. And this entity will fight for you, and it has abilities and stuff, but you yourself don't really have the ability. It's like, it's kind of complicated. It's really deep. But yeah, so part 3, it's kind of revealed that Dio has come back to life. He didn't actually die in the boat with Jonathan. No spoilers from that, of course. But he's come back to life, and now Jonathan's like relative Jotaro Kujo now is the like main protagonist. And it actually starts out pretty interesting because it's got to introduce us to the idea of stands. And Jotaro doesn't know what a stand is, obviously. His grandfather has just come to Japan. It's in Japan now, by the way. It was in like England or something before. And then America for part 2. But anyways, Japan. He's come to Japan to see his grandson, but his grandson is like in jail. What is happening? And it's because his grandson turned himself in because he thought he was a danger, because he saw that he has this weird ability. And Joseph explains to... Yeah, that's right. Joseph's his grandfather from part 2. Joseph explains to him, like, no, this is a stand. He introduces him to stands. And then Jotaro doesn't really care so much until his mom gets sick. And Joseph's like, this is because Dio came back to life. We have to kill him, or else your mom's gonna die from her stand, which is manifesting. So they have to go across the entire world, and this is probably one of the longest arcs, or parts. And just because they're traveling all around the world, they got to get to Egypt, where Dio is. And it's a lot of fun. It's a lot more episodic. Where there's like different fights each time, and some of it's pretty crazy. Like, one person's stand is a ship, and there's like animals with stands. There's a baby with a stand. It's really good. I really recommend it. Honestly, part 3 might be peak JoJo's. It's not to some. Yeah, there are way crazier battles in later parts, but part 3 just has that fun adventure feel along with all that, and I think it's pretty great. And there's some buddy moments with the Joe Bros. So yeah, super recommend, hard recommend, diamond hard, like just recommend. Okay. Now we get to Chainsaw Man. Now this one is also an ongoing series. It has not finished translation by Viz yet. And as you can see, I've got a couple of gaps, but those have been ordered. They're coming in. So let's go through Chainsaw Man then. So Chainsaw Man basically follows, the hero Chainsaw Man. So basically Dingy's Chainsaw Man. He's grown up, he's grown up like always admiring this hero Chainsaw Man, and he's always wanted to be him. But he's like really poor. He's kind of in a buddy syndrome sort of situation with Chainsaw Man. He gets rejected, but then Chainsaw Man dies, right? Okay, no spoilers, but he dies. So Dingy eats his corpse, and Chainsaw Man's power is like based on eating people. So Dingy eats his corpse, and then he gains the powers of Chainsaw Man. And he starts doing stuff, and he immediately gets noticed by Makima, which is this. So Makima's secretly the Gun Devil. Anyways, this whole time they're trying to fight the Gun Devil. This is not Makima, this is Power. She's hot. So this whole time they're trying to fight the Gun Devil. Like, Makima notices him, gets him to join this organization. And the whole point of it is to kill the Gun Devil. And if they do, Dingy will be allowed to marry the girl he loves, Power. Like, they can't legally marry because Power is a devil, right? And they're fighting devils and stuff, so they can't marry. But Makima says that if you get the Gun Devil for me, you can marry Power. And then I don't really know what happens between 3 and 4, but 5, it just hits the wall with 5, okay? So in 5, Chainsaw Man meets Needle Man, and they have like really similar backstory. You know what? I really don't want to spoil this for you. It's a really good book. He has sex with her. It's good. You should follow it. It's just, God, it's so good. So good. Get Chainsaw Man. Scalpers have been doing crazy things to the physicals. You can get it on the Shonen Jump app too. I don't read that way, but some people do. Yeah, okay. So down here we have my Pokemon Adventures collection. Now this is probably the most proud collection I have. I've had, so let me start off with this one. So this is actually a first edition of the original English translation of Pokemon Adventures. It reads left to right, which is very interesting. Surprisingly, not a lot of yellowing, as you can see, which I'm pretty proud of that conditioning. Especially because, a lot of books you keep as a kid will kind of have that yellowing. So I'm really proud of that. And Pokemon Adventures is like a story that's always been really important to me, just because, like, as a kid, I was always this huge fan of Pokemon. And Pokemon Adventures, like, I don't know, the anime was really episodic. It was okay, but the manga, dude, it's so good. Like, if you haven't read Pokemon Adventures, you're really missing out. I don't know if you've seen like Mother's Basement's video on it, but it's just a really good story, and it's really wholesome. And I know the creator of Pokemon himself, Satoshi Tajiri, actually said that this was the closest interpretation of like his original idea, sort of, that anyone's ever gotten, or any other media piece has gotten, and it really shows. Now this is a very long running series. It's got like 50 some volumes, but each arc is only about maybe 6 or 7 volumes. The shortest arc, I think, Gold and Silver, is only like 2 volumes. Or I guess Platinum, if you count that one, I think is also 2 volumes, but yeah, and so even though it's really long, it's broken into a bunch of smaller arcs that you can go with, and I honestly think the original 1 through 7, red, green, blue, yellow, whatever, that's the best one. It's really good. It's really fun. It gets that sense of adventure, and it doesn't get, later on it does get a little JRPG-ish, but for the first one, it's not as much as like this overarching JRPG. We gotta catch the god Pokemon. We gotta stuff them in our balls. It's really good, wholesome fun, and I completely recommend it to your kids or even to yourself. Honestly, just read Pokemon Adventures. It's really good. Give the first 7 volumes a shot. You can get them pretty cheap on Amazon. It's always in print. Yeah, so just check that out. It's really good. Really good. And as always, I'm just waiting on Viz to continue translating more books on that one. So. Okay, so now let's move on to my hardcover collection. Oop, you gonna focus? All right. So this is my Junji Ito collection. I keep the hardcovers up here because they look so nice. So this is Uzumaki by Junji Ito. So this is, how does one describe Junji Ito? So he's a horror mangaka. He writes like these really interesting horror stories that I don't know if anyone else could really write, and his art perfectly complements it. Let me see if I can open to a page without spoiling anything. Yeah. So if you don't like horror stuff, just skip 10 seconds ahead. But like, God, his art is so good. It's so detailed, such attention to detail. Honestly, I think just showing you his art is enough to make you read Junji Ito. But this one, Uzumaki, which just literally translates into spiral in Japanese, his plots are hard to explain because it's sort of about an idea, it's sort of not. It's not really character driven either. The characters are more of like, kind of like old school science fiction. They're just tools to drive the plot forward, I guess. But the thing is, okay, let's just go with this one. I could talk about Junji Ito and my collection of his manga all day, but short to say, with this one, it's basically about this idea of the spiral. And this town is sort of taken over by spirals. They're seeing spirals everywhere. The people are going crazy, and it really escalates. Like, if you've ever read the famous manga Gurren Lagann, honestly better than the anime, especially the cat ears. If you've read that manga, you know it escalates, and that's the kind of escalation we're talking here. Like, we're starting with small little spirals to like entire weird eldritch horror apocalypse spirals here. It's incredible. It just spirals and it spirals, and anyways, I'm taking up so much of your time, guys. There's just so many manga that I can talk about, and I don't want to keep up all your time. I could speak about these for hours, but I think for now, I'll just give you guys the panning shot of the whole collection. And then so let's just go over it. So there's Uzumaki there and there. Yeah, so there we go, guys. That's the entire manga collection, 10 plus volumes, always growing. So I will be sure to continue updating this series with new library tours as I get more manga. And as always, if you've got any questions, just ask in the comments down below. I might even make a video about it. If you need to know how to like take care of your manga, because I keep mine pretty white, just like my country. And yeah, so if you've got any questions, let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. And as always, please consider donating on Patreon. It doesn't just help out the collection, it helps out the channel, and it lets me know that you guys really care. So anyways, I'll see you guys later. No, I can do better than that. And anyways, I'll see you guys next week for the next chapter.